Sure. Good afternoon, Giovanni. Firstly, of course, Antonio Cholak has just received the award for Premiership Player of the Month. He's been a very good signing and settled well. Why do you think he has settled that quickly and performed at the level he has?
Well, I think he's happy with his performances this season so far. He's been selling in really quick, and he's scoring a lot of goals for us, important goals. So for me, his adaptation was, he's been pretty good, and I think Borna helped him a lot with his adaptation to Glasgow. And he's a very open character, so he's very nice to have around. Not only me as a coach, but the staff, but also with the players. He's well liked in the dressing room. So it's very positive to see his contribution so far for Rangers.
He's obviously, as I said, been a very positive signing. I think a lot of Rangers fans have looked at signings overall, and one question that they seem to have, if you're able to provide any clarity on it, is who makes the final call in that process? Is it you, or is it perhaps Ross Wilson?
Well, I mean, it's obviously, when you have signings, of course you will have signings who will adapt quicker, are quicker in the lineup. I mean, that's obvious for every team. And, the focus when it doesn't go well is always on the players who aren't playing, which I also know is the case. We have, as I said before, we had a plan to get new players in, which is always the case when you lose many players. From last season, we were finished quite early in the window with all the acquisitions we had. When you work, as always, you work with a list, with the scouting team. Of course, we have players as well. I follow myself, and in the end, due to various reasons, you come to the players we have brought in now, and that's always the case. It's not but who makes the final call. We make the call together, and I think that's the normal process you will do.
Sorry, I cut out at the very end there. So just for clarity, it's a collective decision-making process, yeah?
It's always collective, because we have one goal is to be successful for this club, and that's how I always worked at my clubs. Coaches are always like, we always think short term. I mean, the coaches, but I think the club needs to think long term. With the process, with the vision for many years to come. I think because coaches, players, they come and go. So it's very very important that the club has a vision how it's where it's going for the next years.
Giovanni, after the final Champions League game in midweek, how is the confidence among your players?
Well, it's what I said after the game. It's disappointing result. We don't play anymore in Europe, so it's we need to wait for next season. Of course, it's been an experience for all of us, the Champions League, and we need to learn the lessons we learned hard in the last 6 games in Europe, and focus now on the league. And so we put Europe behind us, and we go forward. And the next big game is on Sunday against St Johnstone.
With just those 3 games left before the World Cup, how vital is it that you see strong performances from your players along with results?
Well, it's important. We have the last 3 games. We need to have 9 points. That's a clear goal we have for the next week.
Hi Giovanni. Last week against Aberdeen we saw a much better attacking display. What did you and your staff do to improve the tempo and transitions, and how do you make sure that is the norm domestically?
Well, it's I think both 2 things. We had I think we started really well. I think we had the right positions on the pitch with the right passing accuracy, speed, however you call it, and I think also the way Aberdeen played, because they gave us a lot of space to play, more space than we are usual in the league at home. So it's very positive, of course, for us to play the way we had last week. But I think we made the right decision because Aberdeen came here and tried to press us really high up, and we used the space we had, in that game very good and very wisely. That's why we, had a very convincing win last week.
And it's almost a year since you've been in the job as Rangers manager. How have you reflected on your time in charge of the club?
I love it. I love every day I'm involved with this club. It's great to be back. From the first day I stepped in after the loss against Hibs in the semi-final League Cup. Every day I come to this club. I enjoy it. Just to be working for this club, to be working with my staff and the players. And it's been a year now since I almost joined the club. But as in any profession, any club, we had many highs, but also lows. But just enjoying every day I'm here.
Good afternoon, Giovanni. In terms of the weekend's match against St Johnstone, when Rangers have gone there in the past, St Johnstone tend to pack the midfield and allow you to come on to them. What are the instructions to the team going into a match like that? You're going to have a lot of the ball but face a mass defence.
Yeah, well, we also had it in the home game where they are played quite defensively. We had a comfortable win in that game, and it's, as you said, it's the decisions you make when you have the ball against a really deep block, defending really as a tight unit. So probably on Sunday that will be the case. So we have to make the right decisions and make sure we attack the right spaces. It's different than a home game last week we had against Aberdeen. It will be a different game, I think, on Sunday. So still, we know how the opposition is going to play, which system. So we just have to make the right decisions and have a positive approach to the game like we had last week.
Yeah, last week John Lundstrom played a more advanced position in the first half, and it was very noticeable how much he brought into the attack. Is that something that we might see more of as we go through this season?
Well, it's possible because I think John fulfilled that role really well, a little bit higher on the pitch like he used to. So it's also depending which players we have available, for the game, because we need to switch with players in positions. But I think John can play the role as a 6, but also as an 8.
Hi Joe, away against St Johnstone at the weekend, you spoke about emphasising a quick start to your players against Aberdeen. You've obviously spoke about how it may be a bit of a different game. How important is that intensity from the start as you see those performances and results?
Well, it's for every game. It's important to start really well and to score really quick. I think last year we scored in the second minute with Kamara, an early goal. That always helps, of course, when you play against teams who are defending, really low, just to open up, spaces, because they have to come as well to score. So that's very important. The longer you are, not score a goal, the more defensive they will be, and the more comfortable they are, getting stronger each minute. So it's very important to start well, create chances, try to score an early goal, but also keep your patience and don't let the impatience of not scoring a goal inflect your game.
Joe, what's the squad looking like? Any more updates with injuries, players getting closer to returning? Can we see Glenn from the start of the weekend?
Well, Glenn, he came in on Tuesday, so he will be available for Sunday. Of course, we have John back from suspension. Charlie McCann is ready and eligible to play again. So we still have one session left tomorrow. So then we see how the squad is, but we don't have any really major doubts for Sunday.
Gio, just on Europe, obviously the club is a lot more competitive in the Europa League than the Champions League. Would you accept that perhaps the Europa League is Rangers level?
Well, I think you've seen the level we faced in Champions League. We played really well against PSV and Union in qualification rounds. Both teams are comfortable through in Europa League. The difference in level is there. Is for everyone to see. It's also for us. We sensed that and we felt it in all the games we played in the Champions League. So yeah. Pot 4 teams, always have it difficult in Champions League, and like we have experienced this year. So yes, if you compare it with Europe last year and this year, it's a big difference, but also difference in levels. So I think the longer you're gonna play on Champions League level, the more experience the players have to compete against the players who are playing in Champions League, the better it will be. But as I said, it's been 12 years since we've played on this level with Rangers, and we still, we hopefully we are there as well next year. But it's not every time the Champions League is played we are there. That's not the case. But we want to be there, and I think that will help also the development of the team and the players. But it's really tough. If you see the teams who qualified, the teams who didn't qualify for the next round. Like really big teams like Juventus or Barcelona, Atletico Madrid out of Europe. It's that's the level you face, and that's it's been hard.
You still believe it's better for Rangers to be in a competition like that, even though you get hit with such a very difficult group?
Yeah, what we had a discussion a couple of weeks ago. I mean, once you can qualify for Champions League, you want your players to do it, and we had that. We qualified for the first time in 12 years in Champions League, so that's a very big compliment to my players to achieve that in not an easy qualification rounds with Union and PSV. So that's what you want, to get the maximum out of the games, and then so that means you will, if you can qualify for Champions League, you will always have to do it. There's no discussion for me to say, okay, Champions League level is too high. We're not going to try to reach the Champions League. It's impossible.
Has it almost became a noose around your neck to a certain extent that the PSV game was obviously a massive achievement? I imagine it was one of the things the board asked you to do this year was qualify, but then it almost feels like getting past that hurdle has led to more criticism coming as opposed to going into the Europa League and getting through the group and going on a run again.
Well, same for the players, same for me as a boss. I've been playing in the best clubs in Europe. Competing for the highest prices, and as a coach, I want the same. I want to be in Champions League. Our dream was to be in Champions League after 12 years. So when you work hard and in trying to achieve that, which we did against PSV, you're very proud of the achievement, but you also know, like, it's not Europa League you're playing in, it's Champions League, and that's something you always have. Success always brings expectation, and especially when you have to go up a level, the expectation still will be there. But and that's why you will have the games we had in Europe, with big defeats, and that's. But that's part of the game. I wouldn't have changed anything that had happened this year for my team and their experience.
Do you speak about the players learning from this for next year? I guess looking at the number of players that are out of contract at the end of the season, I think it's 10 when you include the loan players. Do you think that this team will still be together enough that they can actually learn, or is it going to be a turnover in the summer?
Well, you said, we have 10 players out of contract or end of loan, so that means you will have to change 10 players if those players don't extend or aren't here anymore. So it's it's hard, because you want to develop a team, but you also know, like, end of this season, I don't know what's happening with all the players. So could be that we have 10 new players coming in next year, which will also mean you still have to develop again as a team to gel together, to develop them. So that's also the thing we have to wait and see how the team will look next season.
Is that the difficulty at Rangers, where you look at Champions League, your budget is maybe 2 or 3 times smaller than Ajax, but then you come to the domestic scene and it's the other way around now, St Johnstone, where you've got a budget that dwarfs them, you know.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
What do you think of the financial?
I mean, yeah,
imbalances?
well, we play St Johnstone, or last week you get the question, you have more budget than Aberdeen. Yeah, it's normal that we win against Aberdeen when the budget's so much more. They can give you a really hard game, like we also sense, but 4-1, and people say, yeah, it's normal, we win 4-1. So we face Liverpool, who has maybe, I don't know how many times, maybe 8-10 times more budget, and then we lose as well, and then it's, you know, it's impossible, or it's what we have in Scotland, with the difference in money and spending. We feel the same in the Champions League, and that's just facts, and how European football is hard, and that doesn't mean you can get good results, because we show that in Europe, but on the long haul it's very difficult.
Gio, can I take you back to the transfer policy again? You said you make the call together for new players. The coach may look short term, the club may look long term. Were you overruled at any point for any players that you wanted to bring to the club?
No, not overruled. Of course, we are looking into to positions, players coming in, and some players, just didn't want to come, or like the transfer fees and salaries are too high. It's a normal process. Of course, you have an ideal situation. I want this player or that player, but in the end, you also know we have to keep to our budget, and keep to our budget for salary, but also the budget we can invest in players. So, that's the policy. That's I think important for the club, because for the future. And of course, we are trying to get the best players in, which are possible. But I never get overruled in a player I wanted to have, and I said no, it's impossible.
So sitting here today, do you expect to have to look for 10 new players next summer?
I don't hope so, but it's still football. It's players out of contract. So you're not deciding their future. They have their future in their own hands and the decision, because they are out of contract, and so it can be 10, it can be less. I don't know. It's depending how the next coming months will go. But it's obviously we have a lot of players out of contract.